Hello. It's about 12:03 where I am, and it's very late. Um, I really just wanted to, you know, sit down tonight and just really talk. I guess um, some really just came to me where I really wanted to talk about my past and see if other people relate, and I just want to talk about myself, you know. Um, my girlfriend's asleep right now, so I guess I thought I'd do this. This is my first time ever trying something like this. I've, you know, I just really like talking about stuff like this. What I really wanted to touch on was, I guess, mostly overcoming yourself. When I was young, I know I'm young, I'm only 15. I'm not that old, but when I was, earliest memory I've got is when I was 4 years old, sitting with my parents. I had a very nice childhood, thinking on memories. It was really great. Yeah, I had some up and downs, I might talk to those in a later video or something. We'll see how this works. But I have, no, honestly, I'll skip ahead. When I was around 8 years old, I got my first look into foster care, or like foster home. My mom was apparently doing drugs, inviting people to the house. She'd have me watch my siblings, you know, alone. I'd try my best. I've always been trying hard to look for them, to care for them. Another, and eventually one day, when my mom left for around 3 weeks, some like people from a foster care, whatever, I don't know what it's called, came by and basically picked us up. I don't remember much. I just remember being confused mostly. I thought I was only going to be there for maybe a week because I was little. I didn't know what's going on. But but I was taken to a lady called I think it might have been Teresa, Miss Teresa, and she's very nice. We worked on a ranch. That was basically what it was, a farm. And after about 2 weeks, I was taken to my grandpa, who wanted to watch over me. Now so at the time it was me, my I think, yeah, 2 younger sisters, and my 3 younger brothers. And my grandpa took me and my 2 sisters, and I think my other little brothers were taken to another lady to live with. I was then in around the 4th grade, around that time now. So it was a very happy time. I was still confused. So apparently my dad had went to jail during that point as well. I'm still not too sure why. And once my dad got out, the thing is, I still hadn't seen my mom at all. But after a year, this was like 2019, early 2019, my dad had gotten out of jail, and he would visit us. I really missed him at the time. It was very good. Got taken home. I was able to see my mom again. Great stuff. Let's fast forward a couple years up to 2020. Alright? This is like peak pandemic. I had started to gain some sort of depression, I think, from being alone so much. And I don't know why, but I didn't really care for my mom or dad. I didn't really spend time with them. I was getting fat, and that was because I would overeat. I was getting overweight, and it's very sad and lonely time period. All I would do is just eat and play video games all day. I still play video games now, but not as much as I did then. But yeah, anyways. Very bad time period. But something that helped was at least a little bit, is that my mom and dad had gotten like a paycheck or like some sort of big cash thing, and we went ahead and they took us out of school like entirely. I was always not the brightest because people wouldn't try for me for school. I had probably a kindergartner's reading level at 5th grade. And I was taken over. We did like this big vacation thing. They basically blew all the cash on the vacation. It was good, and that vacation we basically traveled across the U.S. But the thing is, they blew cash at every state we went in, and I didn't even know it. I didn't know it at all, but I had fun. It made some really great memories. But once we made our way to California, from this, I used to live in Missouri. Once we made our way from Missouri to California, then my mom and dad had gotten really hooked on drugs and alcohol, and hurt us bad. My mom had already had sort of a brain condition where she, I guess, overrides her brain somehow, just being even normal. Apparently my grandma had it too. My blood grandma on my mom's side as well had it too. Anyways, then when we came home, we were broke, and if we did get any money, they would use it to buy drugs. My mom became very abusive over my younger sister, who was, I want to say 12 at the time, 12 or 13. No, definitely 12. She did some stuff. I know my mom wasn't too right in the head, but, and I fought my mom a couple of times about it, best I could. And, it was a really bad time period as well. And then one day, somehow again, those foster people showed up, and this is where things wouldn't be the same again, I guess. I got taken to a children's home there in Missouri, about 30 minutes from where I lived in my house at the time, in a different town and all. It was the same town I actually went to school in when I was living with my grandpa. Now, so I had also found out that my dad went to jail. Maybe in a future video I'll explain why, but apparently he went to jail, and I found out that my mom went to rehab. There were drug problem thing to fix, and she went to like some sort of hospital to help her mental state. And then I got in that children's home. I was there for right around 5 months, but then suddenly one day I get told that my uncle wants to take us in to Tennessee, which was a big jump. Also during this time I was still struggling with school, but even though I had missed about a year of school, if not two, like 1.5 years, I was still on grade level somehow. I'm not too sure how I passed, but I still had some IEPs, obviously. But I was taken to Tennessee eventually. Thing is, in children's home we didn't have electronics or anything, so I finally was able to get, my PlayStation, my PlayStation 4 at the time. I was finally able to get a phone. We came in during the summer. I started going to church again. I went to church before that, but I started going to church again. Life was good. Then another thing happened. We had to basically send my we all got brought together there in Tennessee, by the way. All my siblings were there. I forgot to mention when I was living with my mom and dad, we had also gotten a hold of my little brothers. They had had my baby sister too while we were living there, and we lived under those bad conditions, with them doing drugs while being there with my baby sister, which was really bad. But anyways, back to whatever, Tennessee, right? My sister, my two sisters and one brother had to leave to go to Missouri because they were causing my uncle to have his blood sugar raised too high, because that isn't good at all, and that's just how it had to be. Unfortunately, I did get really upset about it because I didn't want to get separated again, but what happens. And then I went to school. Keep in mind, I'm still kind of depressed because of all what happened. I wasn't emo or anything. Thing is, I would act happy for other people, but I would still be distant and just kind of feel bad about myself. And this is when I got into the sport of wrestling. Whenever I came here in the 8th grade, I got into the sport of wrestling, which changed me for the better. It taught me discipline and to stay healthy, which was really good. But the thing is, I was still in those IEP classes. And honestly, I was failing most of my classes. And my aunt and uncle were really hard on me about it. They would take away my PlayStation, they would take away my phone, you know, and it would teach me a lesson to, try and work harder, and I acknowledge that, even though as much as I don't want to, because I wanted my stuff at the time. But anyways, I was then taken to my yeah, I don't know, what am I thinking of? Anyways, the whole wrestling thing. But then I was able to get better with my grades. I still wasn't really passing grade level. I was at a second grade reading level and third grade math by the time the year ended. Which I'm not really, I wasn't proud of. But it was a good time. Still went to church. Then we go to ninth grade last year. I went to wrestling again, a lot better than last time. And actually, over the summer, my aunt was making me read every day, every night, to my little brothers a bedtime story to get me better at reading. And so whenever I came back into school, I actually got out of I went from a third grade reading level to grade level, all in about a month, which I'm really proud of, and which I'm really happy about. It just shows that even though you start from the very bottom, you can still make your way up, right? And I'm still going up from here. I'm not saying I'm complete yet. No one's complete. Same thing basically happened with my math, except that I ended off the year last year with a 8th grade math level, and now I'm here. I wanted to go to wrestling again, but I had not passed my physical because they had found out that I had a heart murmur, where it's basically where your heart pumps irregularly, but and that would constrict me from probably doing any physical practices of anything. And I had to go to a cardiologist, but this appointment was a little bit after being able to go to wrestling. Whenever I went to that appointment, we had found out that I had something called an innocent murmur, basically, where I might have a heart murmur, but it's not going to affect me at all. So I never got to do wrestling. I was gaining a little bit more fat, to be honest, because I wasn't really able to stay in shape. I went to driver's ed this year. It was really good. I got a lot more popular, but I'm not too sure if it's all the good ways. I was more so seen as a kid that act dumb. I'm not actually dumb. I only acted to try and look funny, even though it's not the best thing. I'm basically a class clown, but the class clown that isn't really loved. It's more of made fun of, but I love it when people do it, even because I got friends that do it with me, we like to have fun, and it's a great thing. I got a lot more friends this year. I guess it's just the entire actual high school experience, because last year the ninth grade was separated from the 10th and 11th, 12th grade. But yeah, now I'm almost out of my math class and almost on math level this year, which is really fantastic. But if anything had to happen, it's probably going to be next year. And then last semester I did driver's ed, like I said. I passed that, and I'm doing weightlifting this semester. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling a lot better than I used to, and I'm really proud of that. And I'm planning to do more. Just looking back on it, I just wanted to make this video because I feel like I needed to. I just want to remind people, even in my tough situation, I was able to be strong enough with people that guided me to make my situation better and have courage to rise through the changes in life and the trials in life. And that is what life is all about, and I hope you can relate if you are watching this. Whether you be a random person or a friend of mine at school that just saw this video, you know. But yeah. Anyways, hope you have a good rest of your day if you are watching this, or a good rest of your night, no matter what time you are watching. God bless you, and I still wish the same if you don't believe in God and all. Just until probably next time I make a video, just have a great one. Bye-bye.